You can hear me.
We're going to pretend like we're live. This is what we do when we run into tech issues that last an hour.
Oh dear.
So, what I always like to
Okay.
do is ask the audience first, like, are emotions important for when you are live on camera? What do I mean by emotions? Oh, I mean all the things. But of
Yeah.
course, I have with me today this gal. Her name is Aimee. But before I get into that, let me just introduce myself. My name is Rose Cayazzo, also known as Jackson Hole Rose, and I am a live streaming strategist, consultant, coach, whatever it is you'd like to call me. That's what I do. I help women brave the gap between thinking about getting on video and then actually going on video. And what I prefer is live. So today on today's show, we have Aimee. I don't want to say your last name incorrectly, so I'm going to let you introduce yourself to my audience.
Hi, I'm Aimee Jardon. I research the art of why people buy,
Mm.
and I focus on neuromarketing a lot. And what neuromarketing is think of Sherlock Holmes. He's like the Sherlock Holmes version um, of Sherlock Holmes. He finds out why people kill. He has all those clues. But with neuromarketing, it's how you make a killing.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
So instead of real guns, it's like money guns.
Yeah.
So I researched that, and the reason I researched it is so that people can um, do what they love all the time, so that you have control. Because information, that's everything for fighting these battles of figuring out how to make a killing.
This is
Got a little
very
odd
true.
there, but there we go.
And we've had a conversation before we're here live. And that conversation was interesting to me because you told me about a process you have where when you are recording, so you're doing a video, you actually write while you're
Yes.
recording. And tell me how that helps you or how it could help others. Like, what is this process and why do you do it?
When I'm when I've been away from being online, uh, I oddly get to this point where like the more silent I am, the more silent I become. It gets hard for me to create, and a lot of times the only thing that will knock me out of that is to turn the record button on the screen. There's something about speaking and actually recording which is super helpful. And when I am recording, I write everything down. Um, so I'll say it naturally, and I'll keep pausing because writing down, I'm pretty slow writing or typing it, slow typing too. And and then it's kind of like you're able to backspace your thoughts and organize them better. And I look at what I said and I put it into print form. I try to make it as natural in print form as possible because I spoke it naturally. It was most sincere when I spoke it first. And then I write it, and it's a language. You gotta try to translate what you were speaking into that language of print form because all these different mediums, you're just trying to make it as natural as possible. But then I go back and I record me saying what I wrote down. And when I'm saying it, it's kind of lost its spark of the first emotions. But everything that I wrote there is most sincerely real. That's what I felt the first time. So I keep doing it, uh, getting the natural emotion back into this, what I wrote there. And the more I do it, the more I don't need to do that process.
Ah,
but it's
I was
super
waiting for
helpful.
that aha
It's
moment.
super
Okay, yes.
helpful. But since it's like a start, it is great.
Yeah,
It's like training wheels. It's good to have
yes,
a process that can help for starting,
it
because
is.
we aren't born like these geniuses. I like to joke that I became a genius 3 years before I was born, but we don't we don't come out knowing everything and able to do all that.
Unfortunately, we don't, right? We don't come
Yeah.
out knowing everything.
The
And what?
perfect, you talk about perfect, the forget perfect.
Yes,
You kind of have to build up to having a version of what's good for you. We won't say what's perfect for you,
that's
but
right. Well, and your story that you just shared is so powerful because basically what you did is you made a script of your natural emotions. And
yeah,
then you tried to read them back, which is very
that's
hard.
right.
It can be done, you know, who it's usually
Yeah.
done by actors. And
Isn't that
actors
something?
have that ability. But us as normal
Yeah.
people, just trying to go through the motions of like, gosh, well, I said it like this, so why can't I just say that
Yeah.
again? This
Hmm.
is why I try to get women away from that script because it can be
Yes.
tough, right? It really can be
Uh-huh.
tough to come back to where you originally were when you were sharing that thought with someone. So
Absolutely.
allowing ourselves to show emotion, you know, on video is tough for some
Yeah.
people, but not for others. Why do you think emotion is so important for us? Like just as a woman in business
Yeah.
and using video.
Well, emotion, it's tough for a lot of people, I think, because they view it in a vague way. You have people that are like, I'm gonna work today. Then they don't end up really getting anything done because it's not so specific. It's like, what are you actually going to do? Well, you're going to open that book and you're going to take that pen and you're going to write just so. You need to have specifics. So when it's vague, I think that's why it's tough for the people. And the reason it's so important, the emotions, is because they're really everything. The people, when they're buying, they buy based on emotions and justify it with logic. And when I say buying, I don't mean like sales. I mean like buying into you, like watching your live stream, giving you attention. It's just an exchange of value. Their time, they're giving that to you to watch your live stream. So people, it's the emotions that are the really important. And the emotions, they happen in our subconscious mostly. And there's this thing, when you were in that coffee chat with me, you said Vin. And I was like, you know Vin? And I was really happy. Well, there's this thing with emotions where they call it affective therapy, where you imagine things of the past that made you really happy,
Yes.
or like
Okay.
strong things, like anything that has like a strong, like chewing on ice cubes. It really, I shudder when I think of chewing on ice cubes, because that's the brain sends out these chemicals for these different things that you went through in the past. Like Vin, his website, I'm like, that's the dream website. And it made me really happy. It was like dopamine. And there's this affective therapy thing where we view our brain, our subconscious brain views the imagination of what made us really happy or what gave us a really strong effect as though it's happening in reality. So the reason I view that call particularly as like, you're a wonderful interviewer, is because I felt happy from remembering the emotions I experienced of viewing that website. And you can use this affective therapy where you keep going, like exploring the imagination of that past memory with that emotion they felt. And
Right?
that happens subconsciously too. So, like, if you remember a stressful time, the brain sends the chemicals that make you feel stressed. If you remember a happy time, the brain sends the chemicals that make you happy. And
Right.
I'm trying to think where I was, kind of have a whole bunch of threads here. Uh, so the emotions are important because people buy, which is basically watching the live streams based on the emotions, and they happen in the subconscious. And also, the imagination of remembering the emotions is important because that happens in the subconscious too.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, then people will watch you based on how you make them feel.
And here's the thing, right? Like we use emotions
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much in social media,
Uh-huh.
except it's a picture and it's words, right? A lot of
Yeah.
people, if they had to choose, they would choose the static picture and the words. Why?
Yeah.
Because they think it's easier. And yes, you can definitely get to know someone by just having a post like that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about being live, right? Like we're
Just
pretending we're
so.
live right now, even though I have to upload it because after an hour, you have to say,
Just
like,
so.
okay, let's get past these tech problems. But when you go live, you're being judged by people and you
Ah,
are
yeah.
being judged by your emotions, right? A lot of emotions can come up
Yeah.
in a live. I've had a live where I was sitting there talking to everyone, and all of a sudden, I saw this really small animal. It's called an ermine. Have you ever heard of it?
I think I've heard of it, but I do not know it.
So an ermine is spelled Ermine, but the E is left off, like as silent. It's pronounced ermine. It looks like a ferret, right? Most people know what a ferret is, but it
I
turns
think I've
white
seen
in
like an
winter.
ermine fur.
Yes, they used to use it also in Europe back in the day, like with
Just
regards
so.
to actually they would hang them because they were long animals, right? They would hang them off of the coat of royalty. So it was
There
like
we
a
go.
very serious thing to display an ermine on your coat. But I
Yeah.
was talking on a live, and all of a sudden, this little ermine was popping up on top of the window that was facing the window, and it was literally going up, and then he was going up, and I was like,
Okay.
there's an ermine here, like I have to stop this and show you because I'm pretty sure if I spin this around you're going to be able to see him. And just like that, I interrupted the entire thing because he
Just
was
so.
in my space, right? Now this can happen with in my case, because I live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Like a moose could
Yeah.
walk behind me. It could change the whole vibe of the feed. Or,
Very
my
much
camera
so.
could fall down this way. It could fall like into my
Yeah.
chest. Like things could happen, right? And you're being judged all the time by these things,
Oh
even though
yeah.
people are like, just do it, just do it. Yes, I say just do it. I say F perfect, forget perfect, but you're still being judged. I want to make sure
Yes.
people know, like, people are still judging you. So, what is it about emotions, right? Because if we try to read a script, the emotion doesn't come out the same. If we
Yeah.
try to fake it, I actually had a woman
Yeah.
tell me once, she was like, my best friend is like the best jewelry designer, but when she goes live, I don't know who she is. And we grew up as kids together. She's like, I hate what she does because she's not herself.
Got it.
So
Got
back
it.
to the authenticity, going live, showing your
Yeah.
emotions, right?
Yeah.
So this is why, like you were saying, the buy-in. So the buy-in, not just to sell something, even though that's important too, but the
Yeah.
buy-in to be able to have people want to watch you, want to listen, want to ask
Yeah.
questions. Unfortunately, this isn't alive, so we can't have people ask questions, but they can always ask below on YouTube because this will be reposted. But being on camera is not easy for everyone. So,
I hear
in
you.
your opinion, like if you were to tell a woman that was in the
Yeah.
same place as you or somewhere similar, maybe
Mhm.
she's on the fence, or maybe she's like, oh, heck no, like, I don't do that. Right?
Yeah,
What would you say to her that might have her say, oh, maybe I can do it. Maybe I will try live. Maybe I will do this. Like, what would you say to her? What
yeah,
would be your best like tip for them to say, well, you could
yeah,
try this, or what makes you feel comfortable, right? With the emotions and being real, because this is important in the age of AI.
yeah. Well, the best tip is that we're our own first customer. And the words I use, it's always sales rec. I'm like, buy into your first customer. But
I love it.
you need to think about yourself as your own first customer, the person who buys into you. Because if you aren't going to buy into yourself, why should anyone else? And I've noticed this with the emotions that a lot of like business owners are unhappy because when they're thinking about emotions of what to how to make people feel, they think about their customers. And it's almost like, a snowball. They're making a snowball to make a snowman, but they discard that snowball and they make another snowball till they have thousands of snowballs and no snowman. Or it's like you have a plant and you keep transplanting it, like you won't put down a root in any one specific spot. So you just keep all these different emotions in these different spots with no root and no snowman. And so they keep trying to please like thousands of different customers that they view them as what feeling they want. And it's a bit of a roller coaster, whereas really the main focus, the main real thing is to treat yourself as the first customer, treat yourself as the root you put down, and be strong, like with your stance of who you are, because you aren't doing this to please all those people. Of course you want them to buy into you, and of course you want sales, but look at yourself. Sell to yourself first, and all that just happens naturally afterwards, after you have truly sold to yourself and have that all figured out. Because that roller coaster, there's this thing my mentor says, people don't buy when they're confused, and you won't buy into yourself when you're confused. And if it's all over the place, then good luck. But pick one emotion, kind of one way you want to show up,
Mm.
and remember to do it for yourself. Like, remember who you are and that you are the customer that matters. And after it matters to you and you focused on that one emotion and showing up in that one way, this is like the base, it's like the body, like the bones, and you can dress it up with different kinds of clothes and accessories later. But this is what matters, that you pick that one uh, way, that one root to delve deeply into. And so that's the big tip that I would give. And also another thing, people think of like business as being themselves, like being permanent, like they'll say like they're a songwriter or like an artist and stuff. But we are who we are, and these businesses they're not forever things. They're projects, just projects in our life. And like a live stream, that's a project. It's not like the end of the world.
Right, or defined you, right? Like,
Yeah.
one live stream does not define you.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So it's like, don't worry about it. Just enjoy life and do that project. Like, do what you really want to do. Like, do that business or whatever it is
I
instead of
totally agree. I totally
overthinking.
agree. And I'll
It's
just
like,
add,
yeah.
because I was in the radio business for a long time, don't show up as that guy on the radio that talks like this, because no one will ever believe a word you say. right? Because I'm from the world of voiceover, and this is how people spoke on the radio back then. And it was a sense of awe, even for me as a radio show host, people, I live in a small town, they would say, "Oh my gosh, are you Rose from the radio?" But I would have authentic conversations on the air as opposed to saying, "And now we have a song by da da da," like sometimes the overacting, it's just too much.
Yeah,
And sometimes people
yeah.
use that, unfortunately,
Mm,
as a part of it's their way
yeah,
to get past the fear.
yeah.
And so, when you
That's
see
so
that,
true.
sometimes that's really what's happening. The overacting
Yeah.
is for them to get past the fear. So, however, you need to get past your fear of going live, try all the things because, as we said, one live stream does not define you. Aimee, it's been so wonderful
Oh,
having you here today and just chatting with you a little bit. Where can my audience find you? I know we had talked about you're on Twitch. This is exciting. And you go live there. Just let us know how we can support you. And of course, the best place we can find you.
well, I'm in a lot of places. I'm always using the handle Aimee Jardon com. So if you type
Okay.
that like Instagram, YouTube, that handle, that works. I
Love
am
it.
on Twitch. I've been playing around with it. I've been doing at 23:30 on Tuesday. But as you can see, that's not a time when people would generally get on a live. That's why I'm playing around experimenting. I plan to change the time later. I plan to get on YouTube lives later. It's all just growing.
And
So
Aimee is
there you
spelled
go.
Aimee. I'll make sure all the
Oh,
stuff reflects it
thank you.
properly. Jardon Com is your handle. I love it. This is great.
One place you can particularly find me is in Rose's group. I love it on Facebook, and I'm looking forward to watching Rose's videos on her YouTube. I haven't quite explored there yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. And I love you.
You.
You have this tremendous personality. Thank you for inviting me on. It has been an absolute honor and just such an enjoyable experience. So minus the hour of
You're gonna
of
make me cry.
the
Don't make me cry on camera. No, I'm kidding. Well, I'm not kidding, but emotions really can come up in a life too, right? I
just
really
so, just
appreciate your
so.
kind words. This is something that I love to do. And when I say this, it's just showcasing women in business doing their thing. Thank you so much
So
for being here today.
thank you for having me.
And then, of course, we'll throw in the call to action that you should come on over to my Facebook group if you'd like. If you're a lady, you're allowed. No men allowed in the Facebook group because we talk about lady things. And in
Gotcha.
there, you can go ahead and either find me, Jackson Hole Rose, all over the web, or you can find that group by going to um, facebook.com/groups with an S and then / live streaming secrets. I'm pretty sure that's
Epic.
yeah. So thanks, Aimee. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Goodbye.